Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjon. I'm the food enthusiast here at J More Living. I'm a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a frustrated baker. Those of you joining us live, drop your comments and questions into the comment box for either myself or my guest. I am such a fangirl of my guest today. Today's guest is the 9 times Michelin star chef Anita Lo. From growing up in a food obsessed household to culinary school in France to the 3 stars from the New York Times and the Michelin Awards for the restaurant Anissa. She's a world traveler, competitor, cookbook author, and there are just too many awards to list at the moment. But if there's a food award, she's received it. Anita now focuses on leading tours around the world with Tour de Forks. She's also board member of commonthreads.org. So let's bring in Anita.
Hello.
Hi, Anita. Thank you so much for joining us. Other than doing today's show, what else is on your plate to do?
Well, I gotta go to the gym. I'm working on an essay about my experience at the White House, which is due quite soon. So I have
I
to
just sort of lost you there.
I'm working on an essay for about my experience cooking at the White House, and that's I just have to put the finishing touches on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just general planning for our upcoming trips with Tour de Forks.
Tour de Forks.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you that. And do I call you Anita? Do I call you Chef?
Anita's fine. I answered the chef, but Anita's fine.
Okay. Anita was the first female guest chef at the White House, and you cooked for the president of China, and that was under Obama's era. And was there one particular walk away or memorable moment about that time that you care to share?
Oh, gosh, it was such a thrill to meet the Obamas. That's one thing that I remember, quite clearly. It was like a wedding greeting line, and I was there with my chef de cuisine, Marriott Tia, who has her own restaurants right now. But she had done the tasting for for Michelle Obama, because I was cooking in India for a series of charity events, and I just couldn't be there myself. And so when we got to Michelle, Mary got a hug and I got a handshake. But it was all good.
It was all good. Well, I mean, just, what a great honor. And another honor that you received in 2018, the Knighted Order of Agricultural Merit from the French government.
Yeah, that was a trip.
I mean, like I told everybody, the accolades, the awards, she's gotten them all. Today is Julia Child's birthday. We quickly said something to that effect, and you cooked for Julia. Anything memorable about cooking for Julia?
Well, I cooked for her when I was the chef at Maxime's, which is one of the oldest French restaurant institutions, and she came in for lunch with the director of Maxime's New York, and I was young, very very young. That was one of my first chef jobs. And I was like all ready to do. I mean, I knew it in advance, so I was all ready to do this like 7-course tasting menu, blah blah blah. Of course, you wanted to impress. And she went to order, and she was like, "Oh, I'll have the roast chicken." Yeah, but she loved it, so I was very happy.
I'm just looking here. I have.
Oh,
drive me crazy. Okay, it's whatever.
You look great.
I know. just charming, just charming. I sort of like to dig into background and people. There's so much to learn about Chef Lo. Um, but you were raised in Michigan. You went to boarding school in Massachusetts. Your multicultural background. Your mother was from Malaysia, but she was Chinese, right?
Indeed.
Your father was from Shanghai.
Yes.
Now, your mother was a doctor. What career was your father?
My father was also a doctor, but he died when I was 3, and I grew up mostly with my stepfather, who was a fundraiser for the American Friends Service Committee. He worked in nonprofit.
So, living in Mass, boarding school, the seafood out there, because Michigan, we're not going to see a lot of steamed crabs there, are we?
No, not so
Um,
much.
but I've heard you say that, it's a food obsessed home. Um, do you have any siblings that I never saw? Are you an only child?
No, I am the youngest of 3. My oldest, my brother, who is the oldest, lives in New York, and he is a musician. He is a drummer and a composer. Um, he composes mostly uh, dance pieces, and he has 2 Bessie Awards. My sister lives in Hong Kong, and she is a harpist, but she works in that, or she just pretty much retired from academia. She was a professor at Hong Kong University.
Because you went to Columbia University, you studied French language, where did this obsession with French culture come from? I mean, did it just pop up one day and you go, I want to do that? Or do you remember what the
Um,
genesis was?
I, in 7th grade in Michigan, you have to decide whether you're going to learn Spanish or French, and I picked French. I think my stepfather was very much into French wines, um, and French food a little bit. And yeah, I think it just really came out of learning French language, and you know being from a food obsessed family and learning about a food obsessed culture through language was just that was really the crux.
Right. So you studied that, you came back to the States, you worked in the kitchen, you went, no, I want to go culinary. You went to École Ritz Escoffier in France,
Yep.
graduated first in your class with honors. Why am I not surprised? Um, do you believe, in some of the things I was watching, French are they set up the kitchen brigade. There's the chef, there's the chef de partie, there's this, that, and the other. In having your own restaurant, did that brigade program work for you? The hierarchy, etc.?
I learned not to do that to a certain degree from working in it. I just felt like I worked in the French Brigade, but I also worked at Chanterelle, which was more of a learning experience. I felt like people were more likely to follow what you told them to do if they understood what you were doing, and why. And so I really always thought of myself as more of a team leader and a teacher than like this military boss. I didn't think that was the right way to do it. That being said, we did have hierarchy there. I do think like the more experience you had in the kitchen, the more you should be able to teach the 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 newer hires.
I have to tell you, I'm trying to think back when I first became aware of you for whatever reason. And I think it goes back to D'Artagnan and the
Yeah.
games that she would have every year, that Ariane would have. Didn't you win like 3 years in a row? Your restaurant.
Something like that. Yeah, I'm a food geek. Those were fun. Yeah.
They were fun, and I said, I said something, not that she really remembers me, and I'm just an in passing person, but that I had wanted to get up there and see the games in person because they were just wonderful. Something with ducks and a sausage on a string, whatever. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that one. Yeah.
and you are truly a competitor, and I can see why you and Elizabeth Faulkner, because she is a competitor as well, that on the first year of Iron Chef, you competed against Mario Batali and won. And was it mushrooms?
Yep. Battle mushrooms.
54 to 45. You slammed it.
Yeah. Yeah, we did pretty well.
Yeah. And then Top Chef Masters, which was for charity. You competed with 24 chefs, and came in fourth. There, there's you just have that gene. You want to do it. I don't think anything scares you, does it?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm human at the end of the day. I actually think Elizabeth Faulkner is a lot more competitive than I am. But yeah, no. I mean, it can be a fun game. Yeah, I don't think. I actually don't think food is about competing. I think it's more about sharing. So.
Right. Agreed. And I think you said, I have all these quotes. Where is it? I highlighted it. Um, you were involved in the documentary Heat, which is now on Roku. And you had said that you had always worked for male chefs. You had never worked for a woman chef until you opened Anissa. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, I work for myself, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I've only worked for male chefs. There weren't many, you know. I mean, I guess I could have gone to work for. Um, why am I drawing a blank? Arcadia. What's her name? Ah, getting to that
That's
age where I
okay.
can't remember. Yeah, the chef of Arcadia. She had 3 stars from the New York Times. Anne Rosenzweig. Yeah, but
Yes.
there weren't that, you know, in New York City there weren't that many you know, female chefs that were in fine dining at the time.
Right. I think Annie was one of the founders of Women Chefs and Restaurateurs.
Sure. Yes.
Yes, yes. She's one of the founders of that. So I was talking about The Heat, a kitchen revolution. Just to let people know, you can watch it. It's free. It's on Roku. Go watch it. Uh, and it was more or less how women have emerged in restaurant kitchens and how they're taking their place in restaurant kitchens. Um, but they filmed you. It was the last night Anissa was open. So, along with putting food out and coming out into the restaurant and saying your hellos to people that have been there and coming on a regular basis, how did you, I mean, what pressure is that? And they're filming all this. Um, how I saw you seemed very controlled at the end with the champagne. Do you consider yourself an emotional person, or are you more stalwart?
Oh, I'm definitely an emotional person, and I'm very much in touch with all of that. I mean, I hope, you know, but I
I'm sort of losing you. Well, if you're hearing me, okay, hopefully Griffin, okay, you're hearing me. I can't hear you. So Griffin will have to do something. Maybe you'll pop out and pop back in. Okay, let's see if there we go. And we'll do that. Um, while we're getting this straight, next week's show is the guest is going to be Robert Schuller, for Melissa's World Variety Produce. Robert's formal title is Director of Public Relations. Schuler specializes in handling all the public relations for food trade. Let's see if we can hear you now, Anita. Okay. Do you know what's going on? So let's keep talking, and I'll finish this about. All right, Schuler specializes in handling all public relations for food trade and consumer press. He has been given the title of produce expert among national consumer and trade publications and radio and television personalities. He is accredited with more than 20,000 plus articles in consumer and trade press to date. While Anita, we're trying to resolve the technical thing, Anita has written 2 cookbooks, Cooking Without Borders, and this is Solo by Anita. It's a modern cookbook for a party of one, Eater's Cookbook of the Year, and ICP nominee for the best cookbook of the year, and it's for solo dining. And if you like food and you just don't want to keep eating these TV dinners, we're going to give it another shot here. Let's see. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but can you hear me?
I can. Yay!
There you go. Yay!
So I have Solo up, and so clever. Were you the one that came up with because the last name's Lo?
Well, no, and maybe I did on some level, but I was talking to a friend of mine, and somehow we got onto I don't know, we just got into this long ideation session about cookbook names, titles with my last name in it, and it was like, locale, low country, we just low and slow, it just kept on going. And one of the things was solo and alone. And I was like, oh my God, I have to write that book. It's like, that should be easy, and, it'll be fun.
And I told somebody I love reading the header notes because that's really where all the stories are. And everyone, here we go. And the first cookbook was Cooking Without Borders. And that brings me to your cuisine, which is not just French, not just Asian. It's a conglomerate of places that you've traveled and food that you've seen and you've partake that you've had. We'll change that. You are now doing these food tours for Tour de Fork. Can you tell us more about these? Because I would love to go around the world with you. So
you should
tell
come.
people.
It's so much fun. It's the best job in the whole world. These are friends of mine, basically. This is what I can only assume. I'm pretty sure that we are the oldest food tour company, in at least the U.S. 21 years old, so we've got a lot of experience. We usually host up to 12 people, so it's small, so we don't run into too many issues like hurting people and stuff like that. And it's always like a really great foodie crowd. We've always had wonderful people, and we've all come away with like new friends and fantastic experience. All of the experiences are pre-vetted by either one or all of us, or at least some people that we trust on the ground. In 2025, I've got an incredible trip to Mexico that we do every year, to the Yucatan. We rent out individual properties whenever we can, and they're usually fantastic. Like in Mexico, we have this 17th century hacienda. Every single room is different and huge. They're like 25-foot ceilings. It's just really incredible, and it's really special, really beautiful. There's ruins, Mayan ruins on the property. It's just crazy. We'll go. We'll do all of the tourist things, and we'll always have like a guide with us that can tell us the deeper stories, historical stories, etc. as well as doing food-focused things like go to the markets, etc. I always teach a cooking class, a hands-on cooking class in each of these based on the
Right.
cuisine of the area, using ingredients from the area, local ingredients. Sometimes that we've like foraged, like we went diving for sea urchin in Sicily, stuff like that, mushroom hunting, etc. So it's a wonderful experience.
Well, that brings me to you were just in Bermuda at the hotel. I wrote the name down.
The Lauren.
Lauren. Right. So different things that I've seen that you were fishing in Alaska for halibut. You like
Oh
to
yeah,
fish.
I adore fishing. I'm obsessed. I'm not, I'd like to say that I make up for my lack of experience and expertise with enthusiasm. So
Well, my father used to fish, and we'd go out as a child, and I had no problem putting a worm on the hook or casting. And I remember we went to on the Chesapeake Bay. We went out, and there's two boats. My sister, one of us caught the largest fish, and the other one caught the most fish. And there was a women's group here in Baltimore, and one of the women, I said, you know what? Why don't we do a fishing trip? And we did two of them with just the women going out on the boat and going fishing. I love it. So we're back here. I love technology. God, I love technology. So, um, what other tours can we look for? Now, everybody, that's tourdeforks.com.
yep.
It's AnitaLo.com website. And Anita would love for you to follow
Chef
her.
Anita Lo. Chef Anita Lo.
Chef Anita Lo.
Is my wife.
And chefanitalo.com. And she would love for you to follow her on Instagram, which is Anita Lo NYC. So it's all up in the comments. So definitely do that. What other tours? Isn't there something coming up New England?
Oh yeah, I think I have room for either one more individual or a couple for not in New England. We upstate at Tivoli. We're going to Hotel Tivoli. We're going to do some mushroom foraging. We're going to go eat at Stissing House. It's going to be fantastic. That's just a long weekend upstate. We stay in an incredible. We're taking over this hotel, which is an incredible hotel. The Hotel Tivoli, owned, owned by two artists. There's just beautiful art in this hotel. That's there. I've got Mexico in January. Unlimited margaritas and beers, and we'll make our own tortillas and our own masa. It's going to be incredible. And we're going to go see some pink flamingos. That's in January of 2025. I've got Denmark coming up. We're doing Portugal, Sardinia, and Valencia in 2025.
Yep. Sounds good. Sounds good. We'll just have to hit that IRA for some extra money and join you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So much. There was a quote about you. There were so many articles, but this writer, there are writers and then there are writers, and how he described you just caught my attention. He says, you are a venerable Galapagos tortoise in an ecosystem with short-lived octopi. Do you remember
Who said
that?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't know. It was one of the articles, and I sat there, that nobody can compete. I went, there's a writer. Um, yeah, everybody else, she won this award, and he just described, how venerable, you were. You set the bar. Um, let's see. Mentoring. I know that you've mentored. I know you're friends with Amanda Cohen from Dirt Candy. Um, and she said that you defined a certain place for female chefs.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I'm very, very proud to have, some offspring from Anissa that have all have their own restaurants now. So that's yeah.
so, had she worked for you in your restaurant?
Amanda,
Oh,
no, Amanda, and I just know her from the industry.
okay. I went, oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Um, well, I know you have something to write and there's no writer's block, so you're going to just go write that little story up about the White House. I have questions I ask at the end of the show, and let's hit them.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. If you wake up tomorrow with a new talent, what would the new talent be?
I would love to have an awesome singing voice. I've always wanted to. I come from a musical family. My brother is a drummer. My sister's a harpist. Yeah, I, I became a chef. So
Okay. Can you carry a tune or you just,
I can carry a tune, but
well,
I don't have like I don't have a beautiful voice. I mean, yeah, I want like a professional singing voice.
uh, okay. All right. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
To definitely take better care of my body. Um, yeah, I've had to had a I've had a knee replacement. I probably need the other one replaced as well. Um, yeah, I was pre-diabetic at one point. I think in the French system they sort of teach you to, throw caution to the wind and eat whatever you want and work, ridiculously hard. And yeah, it's just not good on the body.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the reasons that you closed Anissa, along with rent and being in New York and uh, minimum wage and the cost of just running a restaurant. I'm believing, I'm saying what I've read. I don't know. Is that the truth or?
Yeah, that in addition to sort of losing patience, and we still are in a labor shortage, and it just, I looked around and my sous chef had been my intern like a year before, and it was just frustrating, and I was starting to, I was always priding myself on, on being a good boss. I just, um, I wanted to be a teacher. I didn't want to be, like like some of the people that I worked for back in the day. Um, and yeah, I was losing my patience, and I just didn't want to be that type of chef. So I needed to get out.
Well, I would think after what it was, 30 years in the culinary business, that you've had more than one culinary fail. What's the one ultimate culinary fail that just hovers over you?
I've had so many. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't particularly that happy with the food that we put out at the White House, but part of that was, circumstance. Like we cooked for like 250 people, 4 courses in in 35 minutes. And we put that out of a put that we executed that out of a side room with 4 tables and some hot boxes, and everything had to be ready really early. So everything went into hot boxes for like a couple of hours before I could serve it. So it just wasn't it. Yeah, but I think one of the worst fails I did was my second dinner at the James Beard House. I just was like slammed. I just had so much on my plate, and I didn't pay enough attention. And I had been warned by, my boss David Waltuck about, you know, running out of food. He had told me this story about how he didn't make enough soup once and was just, you know, taking it out, and like the portions were getting smaller and smaller and smaller as the night went on, and I did the exact same thing. Yeah, that was
Well,
bad.
that's always the nightmare when whether you're Italian or Jewish, whatever, there's never going to be enough food. So there's always abundanza. There's always much
Yeah,
more than anyone can.
you gotta
Yeah,
do the math. Well, because I don't really like to waste food either, just because it's yeah,
yeah.
it's
You know,
a
it's
big carbon footprint.
yeah. That reminds me that the charity that you work for, you're a board member of Common Threads. I almost forgot that. Tell us a little bit about Common Threads and what you're doing for them.
Well, Common Threads was started by the chef Art Smith, who was Oprah Winfrey's personal chef. He also had a couple of restaurants in the Chicago area, and now he lives down in Florida now. But this is a charity that teaches underprivileged families how to make whole foods from whole foods, dinners from whole, or meals from real ingredients and healthy ingredients. And this year we're going to be providing food if we can raise enough money. Um, yeah, it's also what I love about this charity also is that it has a focus on multiculturalism. I think we've
Good.
always cared about um, teaching culture through food, which is something I do with the Tour de Forks, and and I think it's important to for the next generation to learn unity, and I do believe in using food as something to unite people from different cultures, and I think it's also important to give people food that is recognizable to them. You can't just give food people. If you're going to feed people, you want to feed them something that they love, that will make them feel at home. I think.
And feed them well.
Yeah.
Glad I didn't forget that. Just too many pages of notes. You're just
Yeah,
that
please
interesting.
donate. We need money right now. So, Common Thread, www.commonthreads.org.
Right, and that has come up. What's the best bite you've had all week?
Oh wow. Um, I had a peach this morning. Peaches are incredible right now. And for many years I was allergic to them. So
Really?
now when they come, yeah, it was and I started to get um, shots for my allergies, and you can't really get shots for food allergies, but one of the side effects is that sometimes those allergies go away, which is what happened to me. And it's sort of been this miracle, and so I I eat a peach every day when they're in season, and the one this morning was just like,
Juice,
all over the place.
juicy over the sink.
Yes, fantastic.
Yes, that's the best peach of all.
Yeah.
Um, what are two musts that must be in your refrigerator?
Oh, there are too many musts, but I think if you're gonna get really, if you're gonna really start to take things away, I think I have to have lemons, and I have to have garlic.
Okay. And my final question, what didn't I ask you that I probably should have?
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, we could continue to talk. I think you've sort of covered it.
Well, there was much more. We could talk about Anissa, that there was a fire, you rebuilt it. Um, so much more. I don't know. I'm sitting here. I wish you could see all the papers that I have around here. Anita, only the best. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to finally meet and talk with you. And I thank you very, very much for coming on the show. And onward with your writing. Thank you again.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All righty. Okay, everyone, I sort of told you what is coming next week, which is Robert Schuller from Melissa's World of Variety Produce. He will be on next week. Make something French today. It's Julia Child's birthday. And you should make something French and eat it. Okay. Always feel free to reach out to me via my email, food@jmoreliving.com, or my Instagram @Dara Cooks, and or on Facebook. I have a page called the Food Enthusiast. All shows are immediately archived in video form on Jmore Living's Facebook page and jmoreliving.com. We truly appreciate it when you share our show with friends and family. Feel free to go back into our archives. Enjoy the past shows. May your plates always, always remain full. Thanks for tuning in. We hope to see you next Thursday.